What if a young king conquered the world before the age of 30? His name was Alexander the Great. In 356 BC, in the kingdom of Macedonia, there lived a boy named Alexander. His father was King Philip II, and his mother, Queen Olympias. Little Alexander was destined for greatness. He grew up with a brilliant mind and an unshakable ambition. His father made sure that Alexander received the best education. The famous Greek philosopher Aristotle tutored him in literature, science, and philosophy. Together, they would spend hours discussing the works of great thinkers like Homer and Plato. Alexander soaked up knowledge like a sponge, learning not just facts, but how to think critically and strategically. He developed a voracious appetite for adventure and a burning desire to leave his mark on the world. When Alexander was just 13 years old, his father, King Philip, was assassinated. Suddenly, Macedonia was in turmoil. The ambitious young prince had to take over the throne and unite the feuding nobles. At just 20 years old, Alexander became the king of Macedonia. But his journey from an inexperienced young ruler to a world conqueror was just beginning. Almost immediately after taking the throne, Alexander set his sights on the powerful Persian Empire. For decades, the Persians had been a thorn in the side of the Greeks, controlling important trade routes and meddling in Greek city-states. It was time to put an end to that. In 334 BC, Alexander led his army across the Aegean Sea and landed in the Anatolian coast, modern-day Turkey. The Persians were caught off guard. Alexander's army was smaller but better trained and equipped. They fought with discipline and ferocity. Alexander was a natural leader. He rode into battle astride a magnificent horse named Bucephalus, wearing armor inlaid with gold. His presence inspired his troops to fight harder and with more determination. After defeating the Persians in several battles, Alexander and his army continued their march east. They traveled through what is now Turkey, Syria, and Iran, winning victories that stunned the ancient world. Everywhere he went, Alexander displayed remarkable strategic skill. He knew when to attack and when to retreat. He studied the terrain, the weather, and even the enemy's battle tactics. He was also a brilliant orator. He could rally his troops when they were low and make his enemies question their own strength. By 331 BC, Alexander's army stood triumphant in the ancient city of Susa, the heart of the Persian Empire. It was a stunning victory, one that would make any ruler proud. But Alexander wasn't any ordinary ruler. He was Alexander the Great. He went on to conquer more than just Persia. His empire stretched from Greece to Egypt and as far east as India. All told, he and his army traveled more than 40,000 kilometers. Through it all, Alexander remained focused, determined, and surprisingly, very busy. He founded some 70 cities during his conquests, the most famous being Alexandria in Egypt. He also made sure to blend with the locals. He wasn't just a conqueror, but a cultural ambassador too. He spread Greek culture, language, and ideas, mixing them with local traditions, a fusion that would shape the ancient world. This period of cultural exchange is known as the Hellenistic Age, which lasted from the 4th century BC to the 1st century AD. Alexander's empire may have fractured after his death, but his vision of a connected world lived on. In 323 BC, at just 32 years old, Alexander died suddenly in Babylon. To this day, we don't know exactly how he died. Some say he was poisoned, others that he died of malaria. But whatever the cause, his death was a shock. The empire he built was vast and powerful, but it was also fragile. Without Alexander's strong hand on the tiller, it began to break apart. His generals fought for control, dividing his empire into different kingdoms. Yet despite the fracturing of his empire, Alexander's dream of a connected world remained. The kingdoms of his former empire traded and communicated with each other, fostering the exchange of ideas and goods across vast distances. Alexander the Great may have died young, but his impact on the ancient world was immeasurable. He was a warrior who conquered more than just land, a visionary who connected cultures, and a leader whose strategic brilliance is still studied today. Alexander the Great, warrior, visionary, and the man who dreamed of conquering the world. If you enjoy stories of legendary leaders, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more.